we had kids in year 8 taking drugs. You know, we've lost some of our friends already because they were addicts. You know, but there was no such thing as a counsellor. There was no such thing as a nurtured group or anyone that can actually look after people that have any pastoral needs. You know, so that was a huge thing that was missing in schools back then. And I feel like our generation are the ones that are just coming out of that. We're just healing from the lack of support we got when we was in school. You know, so but apart from that, there was a few fights, you know, girls fighting each other. That was quite a normal thing. It was quite normal to have boys coming down after school to meet girls. You know, in some cases grown men picking up young girls from school. I'm telling you, I tell you, the things that happened back then, they don't happen now.
Was there girls fancying girls?
It was suspected that there was, but it wasn't a big known thing. Like, you knew there were girls that were tomboyish, but because it wasn't something that was really public at that time, as prominent as it is now, it didn't seem an issue. It was like, okay, she's really, you know, quite masculine in her demeanour, but it's fine, it's cool, because we all get along with each other, so it's not a thing. You know, but I'm sure there were. I'm sure there were cases of that. You know, teachers were. Some of the teachers, female teachers were. Some of the male teachers were. But my thing was that if you can teach me well and I can connect with you, that's the most important thing. You know, so there was some of that going on. Normal, it's normal, isn't it? It's normal lifestyles,
So this time was all like the 90s, just kind of frame the time frame, like in the 90s.
Yes.
The good days, good old days. So key stage 3, and then to key stage 4 now. What was key stage 4 like for you? Was that when you started to spread your wings?
So key stage 4 was the Brit School, and that's when I started to shape my identity as a young person, as a young person that had talents, that had so much enthusiasm to make a stamp in my society, in the world, you know. And then that's the time where you start to deal with building your resilience, because at that age, that's when you start to get a little bit of a few knockbacks. You know, getting
just explain to the people listening who don't sure what the Brit School is. What's the Brit School about?
So the Brit School is the British Recording Industry Technology School. It's a private school which was, I believe, funded by one of the record labels. And it's one of the schools where Amy Winehouse went to, Leona Lewis, Damaged, boy group Damaged, Lyndon David Hall went to, Floetry. Who else? You've got Ricky from Capital, from One Extra, I think he's on now. It's quite loads of people came out from there, and you had Adele came from there, so Dane Bowers came from there, Another Level, you know, so all those people came from that chain. So happy to be part of that, happy to say that I went to the Brit School.
Legacy,
definitely.
I went there once to have a thingy evening. I so wanted to go. I was too scared to apply.
Serious?
There were people there that, because it was drama, there's people there that wanted it bad. You know, like they did like a workshop thing, and I thought I was all good and whatever. They was like, they're gonna cut your neck, you know what I mean, to get to this place. I'm like, you know, I don't want it that bad.
Do you have any regrets of not applying?
Yes.
You do?
Yes, because I feel like it would have been, if nothing else, I would have had lots of experience underneath my belt. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, I'm liking the path that I was on, that I had. But I think it would have been nice to kind of experience it now.
I had my best years at Brit School. I really did. I met some amazing people there. Some of my most funniest and happiest moments were experienced at that school. You know, just like really cool people from all over London. You know, a lot of people came from Brixton, so it was really different for them. Coming out of the ends to, at the time, Croydon was seen as the suburbs. You know, so taking them out of one environment to another, but they still had their character, which was, you know, most amazing thing.
Quite quiet.
And I think what's nice about it is that there's a lot of couples that met each other at the Brit School and that are still together now. You know, they're in 20 years now, and it's amazing to see that we've been part of that journey, that we've met. You know, we were there when they met, and they're still together now, and it's just a beautiful thing to see.
So what did you major in?
I majored in arts and music, but I didn't do my A-levels in music. I did my GCSE in music. I did dance and drama, did all my normal GCSEs. I didn't have the technical skill to do A-level music because I didn't play an instrument. I could only sing. So I didn't take it any further, but I was still doing music outside of the Brits. But there were still students who were majoring in music that would often get me to record. So when my art teacher couldn't find me, she would find me in the studio, and I'd often get pulled out of the studio to go back into the art lessons. You know, so I think even on the archive, they've got they do a Brit School album every year, and I think if you go back to like 97, I'm on the 97 album.
Yes, I'm going to
1997.
I'm picking that now. Yeah.
I think I've got 2 songs on there. I tell you, man, I need to listen to it myself. Yeah, good memories, really good memories. You know, I went to the Brit Awards twice, got picked for that on 2 occasions. Didn't have any behaviour issues.
Oh, you didn't fight no.
Got no fights. You know, I wanted to stay there. You know, but I met the teachers were brilliant. I remember when I had an event years ago when I was working in a primary school. I went back to the Brit School to invite the principal, and when I got to the reception, 2 of my teachers were still working there. And my science teacher, Miss Dennis, actually attended my event. She came down. I mean, it was in Croydon, but the fact that she came for me meant such a big deal. You know, so
and what did she teach?
She was my science teacher. She was my science teacher, so she came and supported me at my event. So I thought that was quite cool. And she's still there now. You know, so it's amazing.
It's amazing, it is.
Yeah.
So all right, so you got the experience in Brits, loved it, stayed there, majored, did a whole lot of stuff. What kind of music stuff was you doing outside of Brits?
Oh my goodness. So I was trying to get into songwriting. I did that for a short period of time. I got put off by it. Do you know what? It was, you know, when you want something so bad, you can put yourself in some really vulnerable situations as a young person. And I think at the time, my mum wasn't really clued up about what I was doing. I would just go out and come home at a reasonable time. But I would never be questioned about where you're going, who you're going with, what's the number. So I remember one time I was meant to go with Natalie from Floatree because we both were asked to go on this writing session. She couldn't make it, so I still went by myself. And this guy met me I went all the way to North London. We used to travel out back then. We never used to stay in South London a lot. I travelled I was like Harlesden, somewhere far out like that. So I met the guy, he met me at the train station. And then I went to the studio, really nice studio. I wrote 3 songs that day for a girl group that were signed but had not actually come out majorly yet. And I wrote them practically by myself. I vocaled them. And and then the producer was like, make sure you wear leggings to the session. And I thought, well, what am I going to wear leggings for? And then he made comments about my physique and stuff like that, and it was a bit nerve-wracking because I think I was 15 or 16 at the time, so it was a bit, I put myself in a vulnerable situation. It could have ended completely different, but it didn't. Luckily I was quite safe, but at the same time I didn't I knew that what he was saying to me was wrong, and it made me feel quite vulnerable about taking opportunities like that again. You know, and also copywriting my stuff. Like when he was at the studio, I would speak to the engineer and I would ask him questions like, how do I copyright my track? And he's like, just save all your lyrics, send it back to you. Back in the days, it was send it back to yourself and don't open it. You know, so, and then after that, I formed a group called Debonair.
I think I heard you lot, you know.
Yeah, we were Debonair. There was 4 of us. It was Natalie from Floatree, and then I had a friend from the school that I was at before I joined the Brit School, and another friend that I met at Brits. We were all in the same art lessons. We often used to sing and get in trouble for singing, but we had something, and it was just like, this sounds good. I think we should form a group. And then I brought in my friend that I was singing with before starting the Brit School. So then we became 4. You know, so we often would do shows at Brit School. Because
when I used to sing as well. So when I had my group and that, you kind of have the ear to the floor, like different groups, this competition or whatever. So definitely heard of you girls, man.
Yeah, we were good. We were good. We were fresh you know, and we were like, Natalie would always say we were the first Destiny's Child. You know, we were, you know, we had our routines on lock, we had harmonies on lock, we were winning competitions, you know, and
I mean, I've watched you guys, I'm sure.
I think where we went wrong, you know, we picked the wrong manager.
Yeah,
we had Jeremy Basker. Is it Jeremy Basker from Baskin from Choice FM? He came to my house, right? My house was like the hub. Like, if we had any meetings, they would come to my house and sell us. He came with this guy and he heard us sing. He was like, right, we want to sign you guys. We got scared. I think that's what it was. We got nervous. And then another guy came to the house and he seemed like the safer option. And he turned out to be the one that couldn't do jack diddle for us. Man. So, but I say that to say that your path is still your path, because out of that came Floetry. And I'm not saying that Debonair was responsible for Floetry's journey, but had we signed with Jeremy Bascom, then Floetry might not have happened, because Natalie would have been with Debonair. You know, we just don't know. So I think that for me, it satisfied me to say that out of all of that experience came Floetry, because for me, they made some of the best songs in the industry. You know, so I don't think that as Debonair we would have gone on to that level.
So Marsh was at Brits as well then?
Marsh was at Brit School as well, Because
I remember one time we went, because I used to, I know, for training, basketball
training. Black Caps.
So Top Cats. So one evening, it's so weird, because my group, we'd be like, Jodeci dropped the album, whatever. I'd be like, we wrote this song lately, whatever. It was the hot tune. And she was in, I don't know why, but it was like a Friday evening, and she was just on the piano playing Lately. Just randomly just playing Lately. And I was there like, my mouth just dropped, like, oh my
talented.
God. And we was all standing around everything, trying to sing it, Lately.
She's crazy.
Man.
Very, very, very talented. A lot of talented people came out from that school. A lot. And they deserve to be where they are now. You know?
I remember meeting them way before they, thingy, both of them. I think Natalie was still doing shows then. Then times. I remember we went to Sainsbury's or something like that one time. Another guy who used to be in my group. Yeah, man. So it's all like around the way, kind of.
It's all connected.
All right. So after secondary school, you did the music. Did you do the music thing for a long period of time?
I tried to. Up until I found out that I was having my son at 19, that's when it all kind of just fizzled out. You know, it was like, okay, I'm going to be a mum now, and being a mum at that age, not being a signed artist was too difficult. You know, so that's when I kind of like let it fizzle out a little bit. Although I did pick it back up as a solo artist after, but my priority at that particular time was focusing on being a mother. That was my main priority at that time.
I mean, the music industry was difficult those days anyway.
It was.
Like, it's not so bad now. Like, they're like, come on. But like those days, to get people to even hear your stuff was just like. I remember we used to call up. Is it EMI? Was it Virgin? I think Virgin. Just before they split off, and then like V2. And it's called this guy, and I knew this guy on a first name basis. That's how deep it was. We'll be down the phone, like singing to this guy down the phone.
Stop it.
And this guy was like, okay, send me a demo. And like, we're like, we just sung to you, like, no, send me a demo. So we send him the demo.
That's not good enough.
Little ting-bang tape we was doing, like, and we had a mono microphone, like, so we didn't even do stereo. It wasn't even stereo. It was like, we had a microphone trying to record.
You just get an instrumental in there and you just sing over it. We did our first recording like that.
We didn't have that. We just did acapellas. Dry back.
That's what we did when we first recorded as Debonair. We recorded at Natalie's brother's house. He was like, I'm recording you guys. Found an instrumental, and I don't know what's happened to that tape, but it was such a good recording. You know, and it was so good for us to hear ourselves back and stuff like that. So special moments.
That's good old stuff, man. That's good old stuff.
Special moments.
So I met you through teaching. Okay, I probably saw you around the way, whatever. When did you get into teaching?
Do you know, after I had my son, I was kind of lost a little bit, because I had I was still doing arts. After I had my son, I went straight into university, because I was like, there's no way that I'm not going to be keeping myself active. And I think being a young mum at 19, I want to prove everybody that I can do this. So I went straight into university when he was like 9 months maybe. My dad helped me out. He would babysit for me. I would go to university. I did a H&D in interior design. And then what else did I do? Yeah, so in between that, I would start recording again.